That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, we're going to go through and we are going to be looking at these over-under lines, these NFL spreads for week 6. And we got good news, we got bad news. Bad news is this past week was our first week with a losing record this season. We actually went 3-4-1. Now, we can sit here, we can make some excuses, but I don't think we need to have any excuses. Our overall record so far has been fantastic. I'm glad that we booked a small loss here because now I think that we got a win on the horizon. Now, the tides are turning. I think we can go through. We can be confident with our next set of picks. And yeah, of course, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. When you do that, you support this channel more than you would ever believe. And at the same time, you get a max deposit bonus and daily additional entries when a Fantasy Flock Network hat. And yeah, that should be it. Let's go through. Let's look at these lines, starting it off with our Thursday night game. We've been crushing these Thursday night games as of late. And this first one going to be between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles, where you have the Buccaneers as 6.5-point favorites. Now, a big thing is, if you're looking at this Eagles team, you'd imagine that at home, they're going to be able to be successful throwing the ball against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that has a banged up secondary. But in reality, is there any chance that you see this Philadelphia Eagles defense being able to stop Tampa? If you're pulling up what Philadelphia has done so far this season, I know that they've had some pretty tough matchups, but still, if you're looking at this, in week 1, yes, they shut down the Atlanta Falcons. Bravo shutting down the Atlanta Falcons. They take a loss in week 2 against the 49ers where they aren't able to get anything going at all against one of the few defenses that they played that actually has talent on it. 41 points against the Cowboys. 42 points with the Chiefs. That's them letting up 83 points in a 2-week span. I know those are some of the best offenses in the entire NFL, but still, come on. I don't think you can be looking at this Philadelphia Eagles defense and say that we're very confident on what they're going to have. You're going back to what you saw with the Kansas City Chiefs here. Mahomes threw for 5 touchdowns. I know that Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, they're a little bit of a different style, but still with Tom Brady coming off a very strong performance against a soft Miami Dolphins team as well. I think this is going to be a situation that Philadelphia just is not going to be able to keep up with Tampa Bay. I would be willing to bet more so on the preparation for Tom Brady and this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team as well than what we're going to get with Philadelphia on a short week on Thursday night. So yeah, personally, I'm going to be taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 6.5. And yeah, I think that should be it. Let's just move on. I think that's honestly a pretty easy call. I'd imagine they win by a touchdown at the least. Now, our next game will be the Miami Dolphins playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, where the Dolphins are 3.5-point favorites here. And I think that if you're looking at this game, it really comes down to, does Tua Tagovailoa play? Now, I'm recording this on October 12th. So if we're going to be looking at the most up-to-date report that we had with Tua Tagovailoa, I believe that this is a quarterback that was throwing the ball as of yesterday. Hopefully, he is someone that we can get back this week. He has been designated to return from the injured reserve today. He's eligible to play on Sunday. That doesn't mean he's 100% going to play. I would imagine he wouldn't be throwing the ball already. I would imagine that they wouldn't be designating him for return if they weren't planning on getting him just ready for this game. The fact that there's only a 3.5-point spread whenever you have this Jacksonville Jaguars team just falling apart. They were not able to move the ball down the field against a very bad Tennessee Titans defense this past week. That was surprising to see, if we're going to be honest. I think we go with Miami. Hopefully they get Devontae Parker back. Devontae Parker got ruled out, just right at kickoff this past week. So I think that you're looking at Parker pretty much as a locked and loaded player that's going to be good to go on Sunday. They potentially get Will Fuller back as well. So if you're going to be looking at this entire offense just in a completely different light, Jacksonville already failed against a bad defense a week ago. I hate to continue to hammer in on the favorites here. We're about to get to another favorite right after this, but I think we're going to be taking the Miami Dolphins minus 3.5. Yes, we're taking back-to-back road favorites here. So not a great spot to be in, but I just am a lot more willing to bet on that if Tua Tagovailoa comes back healthy and we get some added skill positional players here against a dysfunctional Jacksonville Jaguars team that hasn't won a game in like 20 games. I think that's the current streak here. they're projecting it to only be a 3.5 point contest. I think that's pretty ridiculous. Now, our next game will be the Green Bay Packers going over to Chicago to play at Soldier Field, and they are currently 4.5 point favorites. Now, I hate to keep doing this. What am I missing here? What am I just overconfident in the favorites? I mean, usually we're the person taking the points. Usually we're going to be taking someone like the Chicago Bears plus 4.5. I know the Bears have a solid defense, but are we really looking at this Packers offense and thinking that it's going to slow down at all against Chicago? Obviously, Jair Alexander not playing in this game does have an impact on what we're going to have from this Green Bay Packers defense, but Justin Fields, up to date, has looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. If you're looking at his adjusted yards per attempt, he's currently sitting in the bottom 3, only ahead of Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. I feel like a sucker. I feel like we are just a fraud here, taking the favorites, and laying these points. But I think we're going to take the Green Bay Packers minus 4.5. I don't know what we're missing here. I feel like these spreads are just not nearly enough for these underdogs. In our next game with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Detroit Lions, where the Bengals are 3.5 point favorites. The Bengals just had a very impressive performance against the Green Bay Packers, where, yes, this game went to overtime. This game would have never gone to overtime if Mason Crosby just makes a few field goals, however. So I don't want to be putting too much stock into that, but I am very impressed with what we have from the Cincinnati Bengals offense. Obviously, with the Detroit Lions here, this is not a team that you have to be worrying about whatsoever. And I'll say the Lions have had some surprising games where they've been able to put up a fight so far this season. I mean, if you're going back to what we had with them going up against Baltimore, I mean, a lot of people would argue that, the Lions should have won that game. This past week against the Minnesota Vikings, I don't remember if we took that line. Actually, no, I think that was one of our stay away games. But still, the Lions only lost by 2 points. So they've been keeping these games relatively close. Playing the Cincinnati Bengals at home, 3.5 points. I'm going to be honest here. This is probably going to be a stay away game for us. If the Lions were +3, I think there we maybe would be taking the Cincinnati Bengals -3, but 3.5 when the Lions have been able to keep these games relatively close, I think is probably going to be a stay away spot for us, especially if TJ Hawkinson is healthier coming into this next week, because we know this offense is just a completely different unit when Hawkinson's good to go. Now, our next matchup is going to be the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis, where currently Houston is going to be a 9.5 point dog. Now, with the Houston Texans, we've discussed this time and time again, one of the worst quarterbacks that you are ever going to see start an NFL game is Davis Mills here. Now, I know this team was able to effectively move the ball down the field against the New England Patriots this past week, and with New England, they also didn't necessarily just put on the points against Houston, but keep in mind, with the New England Patriots, they were missing 4 out of 5 of their offensive line starters. Also, you had a Damian Harris costly fumble at the goal line that, definitely swung some points. 9.5 is a considerable amount. I think if you're looking at a line that's 10 points, then we would probably be taking the Houston Texans +10. 9.5 is probably going to be a stay away game for us, just because with Indianapolis, I don't want to be viewing them as just a top tier team without Quentin Nelson here. If Quentin Nelson was playing, then hell yes, we can bet Indy, but I think it's probably going to be a stay away. Now, our next game, right now, I'm surprised to see that DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, BetMGM, they all have lines out here for the Los Angeles and the New York Giants, whenever you have so many question marks about what we are going to be getting from this New York Giants offense. Let me see if we have any updates on Daniel Jones right now, but I would imagine that Daniel Jones is not playing this next week, considering that brutal hit that he took, and I would be surprised if he is able to go through and get out of concussion protocol. I'm pretty sure that by the time you're watching this video, Saquon Barkley will already be ruled out this week at the same time. Kadarius Toney dealing with an ankle injury. At the same time, Kenny Golladay dealing with the knee injury, and at the same time, we don't know if we're going to get Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton. They're going up against the Rams. The Rams are one of the best or well-rounded teams in the NFL with what you have on the defensive side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball. Like I said, we are probably just the suckers in this situation. But we're taking the Rams -10.5. I know it's at MetLife Stadium. I understand it, but still, with the Rams here, they have an elite defense. They have an elite offense. I don't see how the Giants are able to put up points at all. I want to be surprised if the Giants are the lowest scoring team of the week with no Daniel Jones, no Saquon Barkley, no Kenny Golladay, no Kadarius Toney, no Sterling Shepard, no Darius Slayton. I'd imagine a couple of those guys play, but I mean, you're at least getting 3 of them missing this week. So I'm probably just going to be taking the Rams. Now, our next game is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Washington football team. And oh my gosh, the Washington football team here are going to be 7-point dogs. Now, it is at FedEx Field. Kansas City, if you're looking at this right now, this has been an offense that still has effectively pushed the ball down the field. If you're looking at their efficiency marks, I mean, they've still been pretty good. Let me pull up with what exactly we have had from the adjusted yards per attempt by Patrick Mahomes this season. But the main issue that you've had with the Kansas City Chiefs is mainly just the turnovers. I mean, right now with Patrick Mahomes, this is a quarterback that is still near the very top of the NFL with 7.9 adjusted yards per pass attempt. I believe that is going to be in the top 10. And if you're considering the fact that he's thrown the ball almost 200 times through the first 5 games this season, I mean, the volume is definitely there. He's also been able to pick up a considerable amount of yards on the ground. He has 153 rushing yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire missing this game. I mean, there's not that big of a difference between Darrell Williams, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The main issue is what you're going to have from this Kansas City Chiefs defense. I mean, this Kansas City Chiefs team, I would imagine the offense is able to just shape things up, knowing that if they just are able to take control of the ball a little bit more and stop giving these freebies to opposing defenses, then all of a sudden the Chiefs will be making more trips to the red zone, putting up more points overall. But this defense has been atrocious, where you have 29 points scored by the Browns in week 1, 36 points by the Ravens, 30 points by the Chargers, 30 points by the Eagles, 38 points by the Buffalo Bills. So just knowing that the opposing team is pretty much guaranteed to drop 30 points in any given matchup, I think taking the Kansas City Chiefs -7 at this point would be a little bit reckless. I'm expecting a very high scoring game. I mean, for a fantasy football standpoint, of course, you would love jamming in as many Chiefs, as many Washington football team players as you can into your starting lineup. But from a betting standpoint, I think taking the Chiefs here -7, while we love the offense, it would be a little bit reckless just based on the defense. I am 100% confident with what we're going to have with this Chiefs offense as soon as they stop committing these turnovers. Now, our next game will be the Minnesota Vikings and the Carolina Panthers. So here, I think that it's going to be probably pretty easy. We're going to go through and we are going to be taking the Carolina Panthers +1. I have not been impressed at all with what we've had from this Vikings team so far this season. I mean, their offense has looked fine, but their defense has been, I mean, subpar to say the least. With Carolina here, they're going to be getting Christian McCaffrey coming back this week, most likely. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, a running back playing or not, that's not going to have an impact on how I'm viewing a game, knowing that running backs really, for them to affect an overall offense with the expected yards per play, not going to be through the roof. Christian McCaffrey's a little bit of a different story here, however, just given the fact that he is that elite receiving running back at the same time. This is someone that's going to open up the overall offense for Sam Darnold. So we're probably going to be taking the Carolina Panthers +1. I mean, it's at Carolina. I don't view Minnesota as a good football team really at all. Probably going to get Dalvin Cook coming back, but like we said, I'm not going to be drastically changing our expectations for an offense based on a running back playing or not, unless that running back is one of those elite pass catching options like Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, because you're also viewing them pretty much as a receiver out of the backfield. So yeah, we're going to be taking Carolina +1. I believe in the defense a little bit more, and I think the offense will open up this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, our next game will be the Los Angeles Chargers playing the Baltimore Ravens, where the Ravens right now are 3-point favorites, and I do not understand this at all. This is the lock of the week. Go slam in right now. The Los Angeles Chargers +3. For you to get 3 points with this game, that is laughable. I mean, the Chargers have been unbelievably impressive this season. If you're going to be pulling up what we have seen, they beat Washington in week 1. They limit Dallas to only 20 points in week 2. Dallas has proven to be one of the best offenses in the NFL up to date. They limit the Chiefs to 24 points in week 3. They limit the Raiders to 14 points. Then I know they get into a very high scoring game with the Cleveland Browns, but still you're seeing Justin Herbert be able to put up 47 points against one of the best defensive lines in football. So here, I know that Baltimore had a very impressive comeback on Monday night, but I'm viewing the Chargers as a better defense and a better offense. I think that the Chargers have played a significantly tougher schedule. If you're going to go through and look at what we have had so far from the Baltimore Ravens, I know they beat the Kansas City Chiefs just like we saw from a very, very good Chargers team. But I mean, they lose to the Raiders week 1. They beat the Chiefs by 1 point in week 2. They beat the Lions by 2 points in week 3. They beat a very overrated Broncos team in week 4. And they just barely come back against the Indianapolis Colts this past week. I mean, these games are close for Baltimore. I would be betting for the Chargers to win this game flat out. The fact that you're getting 3 points added on is just a safety net, to be honest. I think we are 100% everywhere you can go through and bet the Chargers +3. I know it's in Baltimore, but that's the lock of the week. I wish we could go through and almost just erase all other bets from this video and focus in on that one. Okay, so now our next game is going to be the Arizona Cardinals and the Cleveland Browns, where the Browns are going to be 3-point favorites here. This is another very surprising spot. If I'm viewing this, the Cardinals have obviously been fantastic on offense, which is something that you would expect, but their defense has been surprisingly good so far this season. If you're looking at how they've been able to limit opponents so far, I mean, back in week 1, I know that they really just boat raced the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans only putting up 13 points. Now, yes, week 2, the Vikings did put up a good fight. Vikings dropped 33. But I mean, week 3, the Rams, 20 points. Trey Lance and the 49ers, week 5, 10 points. Now going up against the Browns, we've kind of seen that Justin Herbert in this Los Angeles Chargers offense maybe exposed a little bit here the faults in the Cleveland Browns defense. And I think that you can see Kyler taking advantage with this. Now, I will say, of course, the defensive line, the speed that they're going to have on that, maybe they can catch up with Kyler and limit what he is going to be as a rushing quarterback primarily. But still, the fact that you're getting an additional 3 points added on, you're able to take the Cardinals +3 here. Just like we were saying, going back to what you had with the Chargers +3, I feel like the Cardinals could possibly have an argument to be the favorites in this game. I know Cleveland has a great offensive line. I know they have a great defensive line. This is a team built around their trench play. But still, I think it's closer to a 50-50 shot. We're 100% going to be taking the Cardinals +3. Now, our next game, having no idea what to expect, you have the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders playing at Denver, where the Broncos are currently 3.5-point favorites. I'm saying this is a stay away game from us. I have no idea what to expect without John Gruden as the Las Vegas Raiders head coach. I'm just going to avoid this entirely. I mean, it's not like you have to make a bet on every single game. So yeah, like we said, every single video we make this season, every single week, we're at least going to get 5 bets down. We've already far surpassed that. I think we've only passed on 2 or 3 games so far. Now, our next matchup is going to be the Dallas Cowboys and the New England Patriots, where you have Dallas as 4-point favorites against a very strong New England Patriots defensive unit. But Dallas has showed that they possibly have, I don't want to say the best offense in the NFL, because obviously the Buffalo Bills are looking fantastic right now. But with the Dallas Cowboys, 44 points, 36 points, 41 points over the past 3 weeks. They're doing this with running the ball. They're doing this through the air. I mean, they are nonstop here. I think this is a team that is almost guaranteed to drop 30 points this week against the New England Patriots. I mean, you had Davis Mills being able to effectively move the ball down the field. I know this Patriots team was very banged up. I know that they also really had some costly turnovers that you're not going to be expecting on a week-to-week basis. So I think the Cowboys -4 here is going to be a pretty good position for us to be with, just because this offense looks unstoppable. And also with Dallas, they've had an impressive defense. I mean, they've been surprising. I know that you see the Panthers dropping 28 points, but the majority of that was actually in the fourth quarter here, where the Carolina Panthers scored 14 points in pretty much garbage time. I mean, going into the fourth quarter, you actually had that as a 33-14 game. So it was just completely out of reach. So you're seeing that against Carolina, they limited what was an undefeated Carolina Panthers team to 14 points through the first 3 quarters. I think this Dallas Cowboys defense has been slightly impressive. And if you still have these offensive line injuries for the New England Patriots, I think it'll be a great spot for Dallas. Now, our next game, the Seattle Seahawks playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are at home. Obviously, the storyline here is you got Geno Smith going up against an elite defense. I'm going to be staying away from this game, however, just because if we're looking at Ben Roethlisberger, a completely washed quarterback, I think that it's just so hard to know exactly what to expect from Geno Smith. I would rather see exactly what we have under center. I'm expecting very poor quarterback play from Geno Smith, but neither offense wants to aggressively push the pace of play. So I'd imagine this game is very low scoring overall. So 5 points is actually a lot here. Just if you're going to be looking at 5 points compared to what you would possibly have in a game between the Arizona Cardinals and the Kansas City Chiefs, two offenses that are going to have a ton of points scored, that's not that much. But in what should be a very low scoring contest, I think that we're probably just going to avoid this situation. Now, our last game is going to be the Buffalo Bills playing the Tennessee Titans. And someone, for the love of God, explain to me the line with this game. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. The Bills are favored by only 5.5 points. How? I know that Tennessee looked good this past week. They played the Jacksonville Jaguars. At the same time, a week ago, they lost to the New York Jets in overtime. Whereas if you're looking at the Bills, they just beat the Chiefs by 2 touchdowns. The week before that, they won 40-0 against the Houston Texans. The week before that, they beat the Buffalo Bills 43-21. The week before that, they beat the Miami Dolphins 35-0. What can I potentially be missing? I think this is, I know we wanted to call the Chargers +3 the lock of the week. The Buffalo Bills -5.5 seems pretty damn good at the same time. If there's something I don't know, please let me know in the comment section, because of course I'm an idiot. Vegas is significantly smarter than I am. We're not going to be able to beat these lines over a large sample, even though we've crushed so far this season. But hell yes. I mean, I'm looking at BetMGM right now as well. Like on DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, those are all -5.5. BetMGM, you can get the Bills -5 at -110. Like, I don't even see the Bills -6 anywhere. It's either the Bills -5.5 or the Bills -5. You're going to be taking the Bills -5.5. I mean, no question. Of course, go try to shop some lines here. Go try to get the Bills -5 because that would be even better. But that's a no-brainer for us. Now, thank you. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. Make sure you go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. That should be it. I hope I see y'all with the video tomorrow whenever we're going to be getting out our $1,000 bankroll challenge. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Have a great day.